Today I'm here with my beloved mother and our family of 13 sons and one daughter. I'm the oldest son. Mom's episodes are always so popular on here. We had to have her on for this one. This has been one of the most asked about topics over the years, is the family house and the family property. So we decided to talk about the property today. And very soon we'll be filming a complete other episode about the interior of the house. We'll title that one House Tour. So make sure you're subscribed and you have the notification bell clicked on so you don't miss that episode too. We're going to talk about different zones of the property: backyard, front yard, ball field, next door, the woods. So I'm going to ask Mom some questions about that. At the very end of this episode, Mom, you can start thinking about it. I'm going to ask you what your favorite upgrade is we've done over the years. Like some big moments in the 22 years you've been here, and some things that you're looking forward to for the future. We have some big things coming in the spring with Bower and Branch. You're going to be doing just some amazing things to this property. You almost can't believe it. And I will also share my thoughts, and you can probably guess what one of my favorite things we did to the property was. It's about 300 feet behind us.
It involves baseball.
Yeah, but I do have a few things. That's one of them, but we'll tell you that at the end. Okay, Mom, it's time to let you talk a little bit. You're the reason people are here, and I'm just the generic host.
Aw,
but my
Paul.
Well, the first question I thought of is going back to the beginning before you lived out here. Of course, all my childhood memories were at the old house. What was it like growing up in that older neighborhood? Sometimes rougher, run down at times, still very charming. What was it like to suddenly go from that small yard to this gigantic property out in the country? Because your first 40 plus years of your life were in the city.
Almost all the family grew up in a 100-year-old house and kind of an older part of town.
Well, we lived in the house for 25 years, and we were working on it constantly.
Could I borrow a cup of sugar, please?
It was a few blocks away from downtown Belleville. Not a huge town, but a good-sized town.
Step by step, we got baby after baby, boy after boy, of course, and it started getting tight. And then, of course, with just the 2 bathrooms, it was really getting tight. And it's just like the house had shrunk. It's like, how'd that happen? So we just thought we got to have more space and someplace where boys can just be boys. A lot of people warned me that I wouldn't like it, that you're going to be out in the country. And I was scared of us coming out here because I didn't know how to get here, first off, and I got lost kind of easily. And then we just had the 2 cars at that point, but I didn't drive all that much. And then the idea of finding the place and then being just stuck out here is how I imagined it. When we came out here, it was just life-changing. Our backyard is actually bigger than our whole property was. Just our fence and backyard is bigger than the whole property with the house and the yard. And we had the biggest yard in the neighborhood. Now, I grew up just blocks away from where you guys were raised. And so I was kind of used to the neighborhood, but it did get rougher and rougher. And it's been really a blessing to be out here. We have an orchard across the street from us that's always changing. We've got crops we get to watch grow. I've really enjoyed watching little baby corn turn to mature corn and baby soybean, on and on. And it's been a pleasure. We've really enjoyed being out here. And I think it's been good for the guys having room to go crazy and have fun.
You started to answer a few of my next questions, but I was going to ask about were you scared when you moved out here? I know even for me, as a guy who always loved the outdoors, I thought that as soon as we moved out to the country, we'd be seeing, venomous snakes and, rattlesnakes and copperheads on our front porch or things like that. And I can say that wasn't quite true for me. What was it like for you as far as any worries you had?
Well, one of the things I worried about is the only way we could have a basement, which we needed, we need the size and the space for the guys, was to dig a big pond in our backyard. And I just thought, that's just going to be a big muddy hole that I'm always going to be scared that one of the kids will fall in and drown. And you guys weren't all good swimmers at that point. And it just was kind of a scary thought how to do it. And not only that, there's a big lake not too far from here, and I didn't know where it was. And I imagined it was right across the creek. And I didn't want you guys to climb up the creek, behind the creek and climb up that bluff, that you might fall into this ocean of water. Well, it ends up that body of water is up, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000 feet.
Something like that, yeah, it's pretty far off.
It's up a distance away from us. And, you don't just fall in. And it was not reasonable what I was worried about. And our pond ended up being a beauty spot. I can't believe it. We just were stealing dirt and trying to make it so we could have a basement. And it turns out so beautiful. It is a little bit of work for you guys.
Well, since we have these different zones, I'll start with the front yard here. What has that been used for mostly, would you say, over the years?
Well, definitely for parking. Every time we have a party, you see one car after another going all the way down. It's really quite a sight. And it's actually, the guys have played football out here over more this area. And volleyball. And I guess, did we do 9?
Yeah, the what they call 9 square.
9 square.
Whatever it's called, or 9 hole, or something.
9. I think it's 9 square.
9 square. Okay.
Wait, is it? Yeah, because it's 9 patch when I'm quilting.
I think there's a card game called 9 hole, so that might have confused me.
I've got a quilting thing that's 9 patch.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's 9 square, but that's a cute game.
I know we've talked about in the past how you'd love to have sidewalks and everything up front. I mean, there's lots of things you would love to do, but you and Dad built this house for just space. Like we were just happy to get in here and somehow do the work ourselves and be able to afford it and have enough space for everyone. So sidewalks and things like that were a luxury, and
still are.
And just recently, I mean, I was going to ask you, what was it like when our newest brand partner, Bower and Branch, it's a family-owned business, and they actually surprised us by putting one of their designers, their landscape architect, I didn't even know that term until recently, but actually drew up this whole plan of putting some like bushes and sidewalks and different things in the front. What was that like when you and Dad saw that? Or
well, to me, it's so wonderful to have someone skilled who knows, plants and how they behave and which ones are the best ones in shade and all that. It's just, it's so exciting because, like you said, we're just glad to have a house, and that we, I couldn't believe when we built the house, there was room for all the bunk beds. We had many, many bunk beds, and there were closets with lights in them, and we actually had air conditioning. We had ceiling fans. It's like, it's been so nice to be out here. The outside, I'm just so glad we have an outside that's so pretty. We haven't been able to do anything with it, and honestly, my brain is so tired lately. I can't, we've been to Williamsburg a lot, and that's so beautiful. But I need to see other people's ideas. I'm not trained in that at all. And it would be a blessing to have someone who could kind of tell you what would look good and then how to maintain it.
When they sent us their design plan a few weeks ago, I actually like teared up a little bit. I was in a hotel room in Louisville for that conference I had to go to, and I was reading it, and there was so much detail. They were saying, we had this design because we know that your mother loves Colonial Williamsburg, and we thought of this plant because of that. We thought of this for that, these sidewalks.
It's gonna make me cry.
They've been really like on the same level as us as far as family first, and their dad is their patriarch like our dad, and they have a daughter. I describe her as like the female me. So
she's single?
She's very involved. No, she's married, but they're a wonderful family. So check out Bower and Branch if you want more information. You can look in the description. The next area we'll talk about is the backyard. The backyard has been used a lot just the last little bit, even just this last weekend for a big wedding reception for Mark and Maria. And I guess we've had, 3 of those in the last year?
Yeah.
Einor and Philip, and then Joe and Jacob were the first, I guess, last August. What has that been like? Did you have weddings back there?
I would have thought it was possible. It's funny when, I know it's a big backyard. Heck, it's 100 by 100. And I thought, but a reception with all the tables and chairs, it's not going to fit. And then we kind of drew it out plotted it on graph paper. It's like, there's more than enough room. We could have invited a lot more people. And so we could actually space out the tables and chairs, and it worked out really well. Even this last one, it was a little bit cool, but the sun helped, and then you guys had the brilliant idea of getting some space heaters. What do you call those? Propane?
Like a propane patio heater or something, about 7 feet tall.
Yeah,
like the little
pretty
things on the top.
Yeah, they're very pretty, very shiny. So they kind of looked good with the decor too.
Sure did.
But we managed just fine. It was a real beautiful reception out there. And they're all officially married, and now I'm waiting for more grandbabies.
Next, I'm happy to say we're going to talk about one of my favorite places, the ball field. We call the ball field. Well, we always called it the ball field. It was a big green patch, about 300 by 300, and that's behind the yard on the other side of the lake. And do you remember I'm sure you do, from back before you built the house? Was Dad talking about that, or had he always had that in mind of doing some kind of place for us to play ball?
He had that figured right away. Even when you guys were very little, we'd come out here and just come out to the property hoping someday we could build. And it was a good solid 12 years before we were able to even start out here. So we did a lot of dreaming out here. And I remember walking from the front of our property with you guys. It'd be really cold and stuff. And getting all the way to the back, and that's maybe 700 feet.
Yeah.
And the little guy's pooping out. And by the time we're walking back, they need to be carried and helped them because they were so far. And now that's just our backyard. But Daddy, Rick, right away is thinking, oh, a ball field and which way you can hit. And, the way we have it structured is if you hit a home run and you're lefty, it goes into our creek. But the left field is much, much longer.
Yeah.
So.
Really, the field was used as a ball field, but also for many other things.
Yeah.
Really, the only thing that made it a ball field was just the bases. Like when we wanted it to be a ball field, the big grass field just became that, and we put the bases
Those
down.
like pillow things, yeah.
Then things developed where we were able to, get some people involved, and just what was it like for you watching that? Because you were up in the house just watching this more official ball field develop.
It was amazing because they've ended up taking pipes that must be, 6 to 8 inches in diameter and put them up way high. I don't know, they're 20 feet high. They're enormous. And you guys paint them all black and put hooks with them. And then you guys used your John Deere to lift you guys up. And you were up there doing it. It's like, oh no, they're going to get hurt. It was kind of scary. But it looks like a real ball field. It looks like official. And I guess it is. You guys did all that layering.
Yeah, it was it was really special because it was so personalized, and we know that we couldn't have afforded it if we brainstormed about it over the years. But I have a friend who's a minor league ball player now. He actually builds fields for a living for professional places, and he would almost like to kind of like scare me by numbers and say like, oh, that would cost that one's probably 500,000, that one's 200,000, and I would almost like be discouraged from even looking into it. And I remember one time he was out here and I said, okay, let's just like break it down a little bit, like what's actually costing the amount. And then it might be like, oh, well, if you sodded the whole thing, put, grass, and maybe that's $30,000, maybe this part is this. And I said, okay, what if we just did all the labor ourselves? What if we just pieced it together?
Right.
And so actually
it was a job.
Yeah, it was definitely a job. We did a lot of labor. It was all
you got video of that. You should show that sometime. That's really neat.
Yeah, it's really neat. We basically dug out the infield with our skid steer that a bunch of us went in on about 5 years ago. And then really the most expensive part that we had to pay for was actually the infield dirt. It was like the premium stuff.
It was not dirt cheap.
No, it was basically a special blend of sand, clay and sand, and it absorbed.
It's good that you guys didn't tell me about that ahead of time. It's like, are you kidding? The dirt?
That was the most expensive part, but thankfully we did all the other labor, and there was very little expense other than that. We actually got the pipes given to us, and and then our Uncle Joe, he has a tool and die shop. We were able to bring those over, and he was able to drill the holes, and we put them in with Luke's brother-in-law, and just it was really a team effort. So it was really just special. I'm just so grateful we got to do that.
Yeah. It looks pretty back there. It's just a lovely area. It's kind of cute to have a real baseball field in your backyard. It's like I almost can't believe it. It seems like some kind of movie or something. And honestly, for me, I'm just so grateful to God. You think about it. I knew we were giving up a lot having a big family. It's like, we're not going to keep up with the Joneses. It's going to be a trick to keep shoes on everybody and get everybody dressed and all that. It was very, very tight. But somehow we've come out on the other side of it. And here we are in a lovely home and out in the country. And God has been so good to us. And I just encourage everybody, do it God's way. Do what He's asking you to do. You'd be amazed. You cannot outgive God.
Amen. And I think Dad would say the same thing because he wanted to make the major leagues, and he dreamed of doing that. So of course he just loved baseball, but also he wanted to have a platform to reach young men and just reach people in the culture and share his faith. Yeah. And it's just amazing when Dad gave that up and admitted, okay, I can see that I'm not supposed to do that. God had something more customized for him. Who would have thought that he'd have all these boys and could have his own family team and actually play shortstop for them and eventually have the ball field. And I know for me, I think maybe God put that hard on my heart to do the ball field because it was right when our first brother was getting married.
Yeah, that's right.
And others were getting engaged, and things were like splintering, and like, as Dad would say, the universe is expanding. It's like the footprint is bigger. There's more family suddenly, which is wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
But I felt all the more like, hey, we're going to need this like uniting thing, like this center that people can come back to and the grandkids can come to, and for us to, you know, always just have this really strong foundation that we can always stay with.
Yeah, it is. It has been a real gathering place for us. I remember before my dad passed away, he helped us quite a bit with the house. You look at any of our porches, and that was him and James, and I did a little bit of it, but they did the main part of it. And that was him doing, you know, very much throwing his heart in it. But I could tell he kind of wanted to pass it on to us and to my siblings to host people and to be welcoming. And this has been a real blessing because now we have, I don't know how many parties a year here and gatherings with the softball class and of course our service. And it's like, it's been a very comfortable place for people to be and for them to feel love and to feel, I think they feel the Holy Spirit, and that's good. And it's like, it has turned into a real blessing, I think, for our extended families too. You know, we do Thanksgiving here and then our Christmas stuff, and it's all a lot of fun. And we dream of the guys, you know, if it works out, being able to build nearby, and then maybe one of them would have a volleyball court and maybe another one would have badminton or whatever, you know, just fun things for everyone to do, and that the kids can all kind of go around just, hey cousin, you want to go do this? Hey, we get the other 3 cousins, we'll do that. Oh, get the other 8 ones, and pretty soon we're up to 4 cousins so far and a few cooking.
That's a good segue. One of the things I was going to mention, one of the zones of the property, a big category is the roads in the woods, which has mostly been Dad, but of course you and I walk those roads quite a bit. So what has that been like for you to see that develop, to suddenly see a road or a shortcut to another property?
It's confusing to my brain. I don't know what's wrong with me, but it was really hard for me to see Daddy, Rick, moving dirt and taking down a hill and making a road and evening it out. And I think, well, what's underneath that road? How will it not collapse? Well, of course, all the earth, it's got more earth under it, and then under there more earth, you know. Yeah. But to me, I'm thinking of it like building a house or something, and you got to put the structure in and all that. And it's been really weird to see him just cut through a hill that's like this and taking dirt over here and adding dirt over here and shaping it, and it's a road. And now we've got a sneaky shortcut that James and Paige, who live up, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000 feet that way, they can drive through our friend's property. They gave us permission and get here. It's a lot faster than the way ordinary people have to drive.
Yeah, and it's we didn't grow up doing dirt work or anything by any means.
No, we didn't at all know how to do it.
Never had a tractor, never even had a riding mower.
Here you guys are doing this heavy equipment. It's so cute.
Yeah, I keep telling people that's the best thing I ever bought was or not just me, even my brothers and I and you guys, the skid steer, like the track machine. It's like a little tank.
Kind of like a Bobcat, but bigger.
Yeah, the people call them Bobcats, or this is a John Deere, but so we just call it the John Deere, even though it's just a skid steer. Like, but yeah, it's amazing what you can do with that. You can just create. It's changed my thinking, because I didn't used to think in terms of knowing how to tame the woods or how to make a road or how to knock down trees like that. So it's really just brought out a whole different side of our personalities. Oh,
it is, and it really has been a blessing, because as you were saying, in the summer, you know, when we go for our walks and stuff, the road can get kind of hot when the sun's on you. But if we go in there, it's a big woods, but there's a nice path that you can walk through, real lovely. You know, and our neighbor, he's been so kind. And of course, it's a benefit to him. He's getting his land developed, you know, but it really helps us a lot too.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about the adjoining land. It's basically like a mirror image of your property here. And that was very recent that we got that, or a few years now, I guess. But can you tell us about that and what led to extending the pond there and everything?
Well, when we first saw this land, the for sale sign was actually on that property next door. And Rick kept saying that, no, he likes this one better. I said, well, honey, it's not for sale. It's that one's for sale. It's a nice piece, and it's kind of on a corner. There's a road next to it, and you know, why not that one? And here it ended up, this one was the one that was for sale. They had the sign in the wrong place. But we always thought, oh, that's just so perfect. You know, we just hoped and prayed we could get it, and then we did. And then Rick had the idea. When we first got the land ages ago, we put a whole bunch of very little pine trees, a line from the Glover Road all the way back to the creek. And then we found we were a little off, and so we had to dig them up and straighten them.
Good job.
Oh man, that really took you guys a long time. But then Rick got the idea if we extended the pond but left an island of those trees that are in that line, but take out the other trees, we could take those trees and move them up to the next door property and have a little island. And I thought, no, I couldn't envision it, but it really ended up being another beauty spot. And it was so cool because that one company came with their big spade, and it's a giant like claw, like those claw games. And it would come and take a tree and then walk over it and put it someplace else. It was really a sight to see. I know. That was fun.
That was one of my most memorable days, is just seeing that whole process, because they had to first move the trees from the tree line before we could then dig out the areas. And we had our friend who has a big excavator do a lot of the digging, along with the digging we did with our tractors.
Right.
And then the moment that the dam was broken, we're connected to the pond. Okay, I asked what one of your favorite changes was to the outdoors, whether it's from many years ago or just recently, and what's your answer to that?
Well, to me, one of the funnest changes has been those cute little robot mowers. You know, you guys used to just torture and just take forever to mow the grass, and that has saved us so much time. Yeah. But what's so cute about it is that they never let the grass get long. They take off just a little bit, like a razor blade. I don't know, maybe is it a half inch or quarter inch?
Probably about that, yeah.
Yeah, and the cute little things go day and night. At nighttime, I see this light going by. I can see in the ball field. I see it on the front, and it's then, they realize they need a power nap, and they just take themselves back to their place and plug themselves in. And it's just so cute. They're so diligent. They never complain. It could be lightning, it could be raining, no excuses. They're on the job. It's like, man, we can learn from those mowers.
Yeah, it's pretty inspiring, actually.
Yeah, like live up to it, guys. You could be a mower too.
Yeah, well, when I was planning out this episode, I didn't know you were going to talk about the mower one. I thought I'd be the one kind of talking about our mowers. My top thing I would say to answer the same question would have to be the ball field.
Yeah, baseball's always your top answer.
I mean, how can you beat that? I mean, to go from just a green, I mean, I loved our yard as it was, but to have your own ball field back there.
Yeah.
I can't think of, I love like when we did the trees next door and extended the pond and the mowers and everything, but I'd say it has to be the ball field though.
Yeah.
And then I was going to add on the mowers, but you already talked about those.
Sorry about that.
Those things have been just incredible. In fact, I'm watching one that's right over there about 20 yards from us.
Yeah.
And just diligently going around the trees. We have it all mapped out to avoid the trees.
And it doesn't make noise. And so,
it's so quiet.
No one can hear it. It's really weird.
Yeah.
I think it's just so cute how they put themselves down for their naps. You guys used to fight your naps.
Exactly.
And it's so cute. They know, I'm getting kind of tired.
Well, just to close things out, we're going to give you a quick preview. And there is going to be an episode soon about the house itself and inside the house. And we'll just tell you now, though, that one change you may have noticed if you're a regular viewer is, do you want to tell them what it is, Mom? I mean, if they don't know.
Yeah, we've got new siding in our house, and it's beautiful. We had a hailstorm back in March, and it did damage to our roof, our siding, and some of our downspouts. And our good friends at Elite Roofing came in, did a fabulous job. We changed the color, we changed the shape. Now it's a straight lap instead of the Dutch lap. Yeah. And we put we had them put extra white trim around the windows, and it really looks good. We've got new lights, everything just refreshed, and it looks so good. I love it. I'm kind of anxious to see what you guys think.
Yeah, we'll talk more in detail about that, about the exterior and also everything inside. I think actually the only time I can remember, or at least probably not the only time, but the last time that I remember us doing a thorough house tour was during the TLC filming many years ago. I think there were little features along the way, like local news or something that showed little parts or something. But the last time I think Mark walked the TLC crew through, and it'll be interesting to see what has changed since then and what is different.
Yeah. You have to see.
Well, thanks for being with us. We'll talk to you soon, and please subscribe if you haven't already and hit the notification bell.